What's up, guys? I had made a video on WKHS Workhorse yesterday. Was going to call for some downside, but I didn't end up posting it. So now I'm just making a new one here, and based off of what we have so far. So as you can see, we have some pretty good trend lines here. Once again, my 4 EMA decides to disappear on me. I have to change the colors. But anyway, let's get started. So as you see, we have this 50 starting to come down, the 20s crossing the 100. This all right here is pointing to some serious downside. There's some positive notes, though, for short-term plays and then possible long-term plays. So for a long-term play, there's a trend line that we've been following for a long time, and obviously we eventually broke up as the 20 moved up. Let's draw a trend line here between these bottom wicks that we've been seeming to be following throughout this whole time. This is only in the 4 hour for now, but there's a line below around 1763 that I'm really looking for a serious bounce on. I'm curious how it's going to play out. So yeah, we have our lines here. You can see everything's pointing down. It's not looking too hot. But we've been respecting in between this channel for a little while. And it looks like we're coming down to the end of it now. So this is the trend line I'm talking about. We've gotten quite a few touches on this line before we broke out completely. And now it looks like we might be coming down to test it as support again. Hopefully it won't break through. If we take a measured move of a breakdown of the point of that triangle, we're talking pretty low. I don't think it's going to quite go that low, but I'm sure it's going to come in confluence with that green dotted line there. If we broke out from the top of it now, if this was a complete breakdown, talking about $10.14, I don't think it's just going to come crashing down like that. But a break up from it, you're talking around 26. I'm going to clone it here. I think it's going to be around $26. If we broke up down from that bottom point, once we got a bounce off there, we could be working our way up. But for right now, with everything pointing down the way it is, it's not looking too pretty. 26.26 is the measured move. So that's kind of where it's at there. So there's the first line here is a 1776. The one below it, I believe, is 1763. That's the major one there. Yeah, 1716. I think that would be a little below it. I'd say 1763. But let's take a look at a different time frame here. Oh, this is the this is the 4 hour RSI. I'm sorry. So we already got a bounce off of that line a little bit below it. And, it's possible it could turn into a little W. But, my guess would be it's most likely going to do what it's been doing and come down and touch this point, which is probably going to come in confluence with the 1763 area. But we'll see how this turns out. It's been a red day for Workhorse for sure. On the daily, we still got that room to come down to touch that trend line. Definitely been working our way up. Looks like we tried to get a little bounce, but it didn't work out. Now, on the bright note of it all, we're getting a green TD9 flash on the daily, which actually signals upside. So depending on how this day turns out, tomorrow might actually be a decent bounce. I would assume it would come up to the top of the trend line, but which would be $20 or so. But if you notice, we just tested the 20 weekly moving average and got a bounce. And that one looks to be around the 1847. So that's another possibility that we don't even come down and touch that 1763. And we end up just bouncing off of this area. Depends if this can hold or not. Obviously, we're seeing quite a few red candles coming in and a lot of selling volume. And this is only on the 45-minute. But you see there we had the red TD9 flash. And from there, we kind of just ended up going a little sideways and then dumping. I saw this coming because of all the moving averages pointing down in the 4 hour. but nothing else seems to be looking terrible as far as the moving averages. So it could just be a little correction. It's probably much needed. So, I mean, I would look out for some buys around the 1763, and you could probably pick some up at the 1888, just because, you know, anytime during a bull market, if price comes down and gets support off of a 20 weekly EMA, that's a very good sign. And usually it will continue up after a little correction. But, you know, I see more downside with these crossing. We're going to get a few more crosses. It's going to push it down. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet. Just hopefully it won't come down to this $10 area. But all right, guys, that's about it. Have a good one.